Having me here today. So I'm going to do a poem. Actually, it's not my poem. Does anybody know what OPP is? Other people's poetry. It's a slang expression, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to do some OPP from Bob Dylan. But it was like 53 years ago, perhaps the first Black Lives Matter to really hit America. Does everybody know the name Medgar Evers? He was the president of the NAACP in Mississippi in the early 60s during the Mississippi summer registration drive. And he was shot down in his driveway. He was pulled into his home, his wife and two kids. At nighttime, he'd been out, staying out late, doing what he did. This guy was sitting in the bushes, waiting for him with a high-powered rifle. He shot him. And this was something that, I don't know, I was a teenager at the time, but it was something that just struck everybody. It was like a consciousness raiser that a lot of us never got over, a lot of us had a hard time. Anyway, so Bob Dylan heard about this. This was on June 7th, 1963, and we got killed. So Bob Dylan was in his apartment in Greenwich Village. He went to, everybody was in a funk, didn't know what to do. So anyway, Dylan wrote this song. Then he drove to Greenwood, Mississippi to this voter registration drive. And he sang it on this flatbed truck at Silas McGee's farm, the Spike Sharecropper's farm. Pete Seeger was there and other organizers, because there was going to be this big event on August 28, 1963. The March on Washington, right? But it had not achieved epic status. They heard him sing this song, Pete Seeger and Theodore Bickel, and they said, "You got to do this song." Here's a 23-year-old folk singer, right? Nobody knew who he was. He said, "I can't sing in front of 150,000 civil rights." He said, "No, you got to do it. You got to do it." So they got him up there, and he did. And so you can see it on YouTube, but because nobody had ever done this, nobody had organized a march on Washington with 100,000 people stretching from the Lincoln Memorial all the way out to the Washington Monument. People are milling around. Nobody knows what's going on. The MC says, he looks around, he says, and our next performer is going to be a folk singer from New York City, Bob Dylan. So here comes it. Bob Dylan just walks out. As I read this, I can't really read it because I have to inflect a little bit. A bullet from the back of a bush took Medgar Evers' blood. A finger fired the trigger to his name. A handle hit out in the dark. A hand set the spark. Two eyes took the aim behind a man's brain. But he can't be blamed. He was only a pawn in their game. And this was the summer of terrible suppers at my own house. My father, often drunk, slamming his fist down on the table whenever the subject of civil rights came up. Plus, the local White Citizens Council representative, a television repairman named Dean Griggs, often dropped by our house, whether our TV was broken or not, to deliver the Cobb County white supremacist newspaper, The Thunderbolt, to my father, just to keep him riled up. The White Citizens Council in Virginia Highland, Atlanta, Georgia, was the same organization that Byron de la Beckwith belonged to in Jackson. Byron de la Beckwith, the man who was hiding out in those bushes. And we're not just talking about 1963 in the next verse, because this week, this very week, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, a U.S. representative, U.S. House representative in North Carolina said that black people were upset because they envied white people. And that happened this week. A South politician, he preaches to the poor white man. You got more than the blacks, don't complain. You're better than them. You've been born with white skin, they explain. And the Negro's name is used, it is plain. for the politician's gain as he rises to fame, and the poor white remains on the caboose of the train. But it ain't him to blame. He's only a pawn in their game. So here's Dillon in front of all those civil rights marchers, and in a way, he's giving absolution to the monster who killed Medgar Evers. But at the same time, he's indicting the true perpetrators of racial hatred. Wasn't he the least bit afraid he was going to be booed off that stage? But today, 2016, we have a different chess master moving the same pawns, appealing to the worst in those who, like my father was, are blinded by white anger, because after centuries of white privilege, equality for others feels like repression to white males. And that's something that Donald Trump innately knows, that a segment of the population is enraged because the bill for 300 years of slavery is just starting to come due in their lifetimes. The deputy sheriffs, the soldiers, the governors get paid. And the marshals and cops get the same. But the poor white man's used in the hands of them all like a tool. He's taught in his school from the start by the rule that the laws are with him to protect his white skin, to keep up his hate, so he never thinks straight about the shape that he's in. But it ain't him to blame. He's only a pawn in their game. So he never thinks straight about the shape that he's in. That's it right there. And Baron de la Beckwith's white skin was indeed protected. He was indicted twice for the murder of Medgar Evers after bragging about it at Klan rallies. And both times, his trial resulted in a hung jury because only registered voters could be on a jury in Mississippi, and only white people could vote. And there's a near-perfect shorthand for what's still going on today in this next stanza. It's a metaphor in the second line that is so brilliant. It is exactly what was going on in my father's head as he searched for someone to blame for what had gone wrong in his life. And I could see them at the dinner table when he would get so mad. I could see those hoofbeats pounding in his brain. From the poverty shacks, he looks from the cracks to the tracks. And the hoofbeats pound in his brain. And he's taught how to walk in a pack, shoot in the back with his fence in a clinch, to hang and to lynch, to hide neath the hood, to kill with no pain. Like a dog on a chain, he ain't got no name, but it ain't him to blame. He's only a pawn in their game. And a week after his death, on June 12, 1963, Medgar Evers was laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery because he had fought in France, same as Hosea Williams had during World War II. His graveside service attended by thousands, as though numbers might in some way make up for the loss of a father and a husband and a leader, someone who worked to do the best for his country. And it would take 30 more years, but Baron de la Beckwith was finally convicted of murder, living out his last 5 years in prison. And in this last stanza, we see that this song was written in just a few days, written in a burst of grief that was sweeping the country over the assassination of Medgar Evers. It was the power of a tragedy, which in many, many times can be the impetus to great art. Today, Medgar Evers was buried from the bullet he caught. They lowered him down as a king, but when the shadowy sun sets on the one that fired the gun, you'll say by his grave, on the stone that remains, carved next to his name, his epitaph plain. He was only a pawn in their game. Thank you very much.